Okay, looks like we're live. So, welcome everybody to episode 2 of our series here in the Pickleball Performance Rehab Injury Prevention Group. So, in today's video, we're going to be going over how to prevent calf strains or Achilles injuries. These are super common with pickleball. It's probably one of the most common injuries that I've seen, whether that's just from talking with people or some of the clients that I'm personally working with. So this is going to be a super good topic for a lot of you guys, as this is, like I said, a very, very common injury. Before we get started today, just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. So if you're not currently friends with me here on Facebook, make sure you add me as a friend. That way we are able to communicate. You'll be able to see some of the posts that I'm sharing out of this group. Also, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about some of the exercises that I'm sharing, make sure you're following me on Instagram at dr.joshmackey. That way you can catch all the exercises there on Instagram. And if you're interested or have any questions about anything at all, make sure you guys are dropping comments down below in these videos, or also just messaging me directly here on Facebook, okay? So before we get started with the different types of things I recommend to prevent calf strains or Achilles injuries, let's dive in to the 3 reasons why I see these injuries occur in the first place with pickleball. So as stated, these Achilles injuries are super, super common. Calf strains, tearing your Achilles, there's significant and can be serious injuries leading to multiple weeks of rest, or even in worst cases, surgery. My brother recently tore his Achilles. He's a couple years younger than me. He's in his younger 20s playing basketball. So really, it doesn't mean this isn't an injury that can be people that are just older in age. It can be really anybody that's playing. So this will be a good topic for all age groups within this group. So the first reason why I see these injuries occur most commonly is dating back to our last video. People are skipping their warm-ups. So warming up is super, super important when it comes to tissue injuries like calf strains, hamstring pulls, things like that. It's important that we're getting our muscles going, we're getting a dynamic warm-up included. That way we are prepared for the activity that is in front of us. So that's probably the number one thing I would recommend for people, is not just stepping out on the courts and playing. You want to make sure you're warming yourself up. Make sure you are going through that exercise warm-up routine that we discussed last week, and that way you're going to be less prone to injuries like calf strains or even worse, Achilles tears. So if you're not sure of how to properly warm up, you can leave a comment down below, or scroll down in the group and check out last week's video going over the pickleball warm-up routine. So that's the first reason why these injuries occur. The second reason why calf strains or Achilles injuries occur is understanding a topic called load versus capacity. So anytime, whether you're playing pickleball, going for a walk, going for a run, performing really any sport, you need to understand the amount of load you're placing on a certain joint and on the tissues within that joint. Each joint is able to have a certain capacity that it's able to take on. So anytime we are progressing beyond that, we're putting ourselves at risk of injury. So it's going to be important that you are understanding your body. That way you're not pushing beyond limits, but at the same time, you're also doing things to build strength through that joint. So when we're discussing the calf injuries or Achilles injuries, we're specifically talking on the ankle joint. So if you're not doing things to strengthen that joint, and you're not doing things to increase the resiliency of that joint, you're going to be at a higher risk of injury. So that's why it's going to be super important that you guys are doing exercises of the ankle joint. So you're building up that strength, you're building up that capacity for that joint to take on a bigger load. So way too often I see people that aren't doing anything off of the court, stepping out and playing high levels of pickleball. And when they do that, they're putting themselves at increased risk of injury. So it's super, super important that we're doing things off the court to build up the strength and build up the resiliency in that joint. So that's the second reason why these injuries occur. Third reason why calf strains and injuries occur is due to poor footwear or just playing on unsafe court conditions. So, an example would be if you're wearing shoes that have poor grip, you're wearing shoes that are too loose, or you're playing on a pickleball court that's damp and wet and you're at risk of slipping. So, a lot of these injuries can occur because you don't have good traction. You try and plant your foot, cut to the left, to the right, or run forward. And if you don't have a good place to push off and plant that foot, what can happen is you can slip. And when this motion occurs, you're at risk of overstretching the calf muscle and ultimately leading to a strain or even worse, an Achilles tear. So it's going to be important that you're wearing appropriate footwear, shoes that are comfortable, shoes that have good grip and good traction on the bottom, so that way you're not going to be at risk of slipping on the court. And it's also going to be something else to keep an eye on too if you're playing and it starts to rain or conditions aren't as great, it rained the previous day, things like that. You just want to be careful. You want to be aware of your surroundings, because if the court is damp and you slip, you could potentially pull a muscle or tear a muscle. So the big thing is just to be aware of the court and understanding what's going on as you're playing the game, okay? So I would say those are probably the three most common reasons why calf strains and Achilles injuries occur. Again, in summary, first thing is you want to make sure you're not skipping your warm-up. You want to make sure you're taking the time to go through that warm-up routine and getting your muscles and body ready for activity. Second reason is understanding load versus capacity. So you want to make sure you're doing things off of the court to build strength, build resiliency through your joints, predominantly the ankle, and we're talking about calf pulls or Achilles injuries, but your entire body as well. We want to make sure we're doing things through the knees, through the hips, through the elbows, through the shoulders, everything. We want to make sure we aren't putting ourselves at risk of injury because we don't have the strength to do it. Third and finally, we want to make sure we're wearing good footwear, understanding of the surroundings within the court, and just being aware of everything around us. That way we're not at risk of an accident occurring and us pulling a muscle. So those are the three big reasons why these injuries occur. And next, I want to share three of the most common exercises that I give for people when they're trying to improve strength, improve resiliency, improve coordination, all those things which are super important when it comes to injury prevention and also performance when they're playing pickleball. And these are all things that I share with the clients within my programs, where we're taking people that are injured playing pickleball, getting them back to their baseline level of where they're pain-free, but then also taking them to the next step where we're improving performance, improving strength, endurance, all those things. So not only are they playing pickleball at a higher level, but they're also at much less risk of getting injured as they continue to move forward. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more about how my program works, if you're dealing with an injury such as a calf pull or really any soft tissue injury, you can leave a comment down below or message me directly. I do free consultations with all of my clients. So if you're interested and just want to kind of learn a little bit more, feel free to message me on here or comment down below. So now we'll share the three most common exercises that I give, and I will also be linking these to the YouTube channel that I created down below in the comment section, so that way you guys are going to be able to access them and be able to follow along whether you're working out at home or working out at the pickleball court or at the gym, wherever. So the first exercise that I give for people is working on dorsiflexion strength. So one of the ways you can do this is sitting down in a chair, and you're going to be pulling your feet up into dorsiflexion. So you're essentially bringing your foot closer towards your knee. And what I have my clients do, and people that are dealing with calf injuries, is I have them go into dorsiflexion, hold that for anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds, and they're going to be performing anywhere from 5 to 10 reps of this exercise. And this is an important exercise because a lot of calf injuries occur because people are weak on the opposite side of the joint, which is your dorsiflexors, which is the muscles essentially in your shin area. So if we can build strength through our dorsiflexors, we're going to be at much less risk of pulling the calf muscle or even worse, an Achilles injury on the backside. So again, I'll link that video down below in the comment section. Second exercise I give for people is simply doing calf raises. And this kind of goes back to the understanding load versus capacity. So the stronger we can have our calf muscles, the more load it's going to be able to take on. So it's a big exercise I give for people is working on double leg calf raises and also single leg calf raises if they're able to tolerate. And there's a lot of different ways you can mix up calf raises as well. You can use weights on your back. You can do double leg raises and then slowly lowering back down, working on eccentric control, and a number of other things. So I'll be linking those down in the comment section down below, but it's going to be important that we're targeting those calf muscles specifically, so that way we know that we have good strength through that joint, through those muscles, and then be able to compete at a higher level and be at much less risk of getting injured. And then the third exercise I give for people is doing plyometrics and other simple jumping, hopping motions. These kind of depend on what age group you're in. If you're a little bit younger, you're going to be able to do a little bit higher level plyometrics. If you're a little bit older and haven't done them for a period of time, it's likely you're going to have to start at a lower end and then building yourself back up. But it's important that you're performing some level of plyometrics, as this is going to build up that tolerance through that joint. You're performing exercises at a much higher level, and you're allowing your body to build up that resiliency with athletic movements. Because when you're building strength in the gym, it's super important. But when you step out on the pickleball court or any other sport, you need to be able to control different movements. You're going to be jumping, you're going to be moving side to side. So it's going to be important that you have the capacity to do that within your calf muscles, within your ankle joints, and everything else involved with these injuries. So we want to make sure we're performing these types of exercises, so that way we're having the strength, we're building the endurance, all the things that help, keep us pain-free. So again, I'll be linking down a couple of these plyometric exercises for you guys to try out down in the comment section down below. So again, in summary, when it comes to exercises that are going to help prevent calf pulls or Achilles injuries, we want to be making sure we're building strength through our dorsiflexors, which are the shin muscles. Want to make sure we're building strength through the calf muscles, which most people know. And then third and finally, we want to make sure we're incorporating some level of plyometric exercise in our routine. And again, each of these will be listed down below. So hopefully this helps answer any questions. I get these all the time with how to prevent these injuries. This is probably the most common one that I see. So make sure you guys are taking action on some of these exercises, start incorporating them into your warm-ups, into your exercise routines. That way you're going to be able to stay pain-free and be able to perform at a higher level when you're playing pickleball. And if this is something you don't want to if you want to take the guesswork out, if you want to learn a little bit more on how we structure our programs for our pickleball players, feel free to leave a comment, reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to go over different things and continue with the consultations that I've been doing. So it's been fun reaching out and talking with the people within this group. And as always, if you guys have questions, make sure you're reaching out to me. Finally, if you guys know of anybody that is a pickleball player that would benefit from this information or has questions on, pickleball injuries and how to stay healthy, feel free to invite them to this group. I want to be able to serve as many people as I possibly can. So we're just trying to grow, trying to help pickleball players all over the world. It's been great to see the people in this group. I've had a lot of good conversations, so would just love to continue to grow with that. So thank you guys for joining, and then be on the lookout in a couple days for next